All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, fam. What's good?
Peace.
Oh yeah, man. Leave it up to Seafood, man. He gonna get it in for us.
Only when necessary.
Oh boy.
Only when necessary.
All right, what's good, Fourth Principle family, and shalom and welcome to all the guests who might be tuning in to the show. Got a pretty good one lined up for you guys today. So how's everybody?
I'm loved, Doc. I'm loved.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Perfect.
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah, I'm great.
Cool.
Looking good, feeling good,
I can dig that. So this week, we get an opportunity to explore who the fourth principle is, and with that, you get an opportunity to learn about each and every one of us from the perspective, where we stand. But before we do that, I do want to take the time to address some of the feedback that we got last week when we had the Nashim or the women. We had the women on
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
When we had the women come on the show, and they gave their perspective on a couple of items. So I don't know if we can pull up those comments real quick and just read them.
Probably had to. You want to read them now?
I mean, we
Or
can.
just
Yeah.
as we go?
Yeah, we can read them as we can read them now. That's fine.
Yeah, get them out of the way.
I might have to pull it up. Hold on.
Just go. You could also go to the group chat. I mean, if it's not too far back, because we said a lot since then. Let me go to the phone.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do.
Which one was it? Was it the last one we put up for them?
1 second.
All right.
You got it?
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. One of them says SHIT, about to hit the fan. What are you women going to do when martial law and FEMA roll out?
Okay, so off the rip, right? I'll say this: I don't recall anything that we discussed in an episode where we talked about martial law or FEMA. That wasn't even in the space of awareness of the conversation.
Right.
So, thank you for the comment. I am curious as to how you got to that conclusion that led you to ask that question. Seeing as though that was not the context of the discussion.
Right. You want another one?
Go
No,
ahead.
And does anybody else have anything to add to that?
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to it?
I responded to it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Mike.
I think what he was trying to convey was from his viewpoint of watching the video
Right.
that those particular women wasn't ready. And
Ready for FEMA or
whatever
whatever happens.
he thinks martial law and FEMA is going to bring.
Okay.
My question was, why ask the women?
Right.
Well, not only that, right? If martial law was going to happen, the common layperson, you wouldn't know. Okay.
Absolutely.
You don't have the appropriate clearance to know, and unless you've served in the military, you probably don't even know what that looks like.
Right.
All right. I know we got a lot of sentiments from Hollywood and movies that kind of portray an idea of what that is, but a lot of times that's handled at the state level, or maybe even the municipalities. It just kind of depends on what's going on. It's not a worldwide broadcast, if you will, that hey, martial law is gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And as far as FEMA is concerned, those tend to follow natural disasters and stuff like that. And so, just the linkage of that idea and what we were discussing on the show, that two different worlds.
Absolutely.
Right. All right. The next one was actually it was the same person who just said that. He said, if more women take on the lifestyle, she would be better. And I would take it that the lifestyle he's talking about is the Hebrew Israelite lifestyle, because that's what the title of the video was.
Well, I would say one, you have to discern what you mean by better. Better than what? I mean, making a statement it'd be better. It doesn't really say anything. It's we're comparing it to something, and seeing as a person like doubled up on their, whatever it is that they were trying to present. It seems like a commonality where people hear or listen to situations, circumstances, ideas, thoughts, and they don't have or have learned how to properly communicate. And if women or anyone for that matter is talking about their personal experiences, and then you go and shift the goalpost to a whole another perspective or awareness, evidently there's a lacking in communication, and I don't think it's on the women's part. It seems like someone may be deviating or projecting out whatever it is that they're projecting.
Right. And that statement about better is coming from the mindset of that world in which that person is in.
Yes.
Right.
Not necessarily the worldview from the the Nashim. I mean the women that were giving their perspectives.
Right.
Right. All right. The next one, and this is on the same video.
Right.
The BHI is just another black cult that started back in the late 1800s by other black Christians who sought to be superior, like how most your people emulate in this country. No different from white supremacy.
That's a good point.
If that's
What's the
to-
acronym?
to- well,
Black.
Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
But first of all, I deal in definitions, so we're going to define cult.
Facts. Let's get it. Please.
A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister.
Right.
And then we'll go into the, hold on. One of the other definition is a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. So we're going to the similarities. You have words that's used as sect. I think that's used in the scriptures for the people that followed the way of Christ or Yahshua, who they call Jesus. Denomination. I think that also falls into, we hear that term a lot when we're dealing with church, the different denominations. So we could say cults, if you want to say that.
Right.
Church.
Right. Come on.
Faith.
Come on.
Faith is blanketing anyone that has a faith in whatever. Belief.
We gotta talk about that word. But
Persuasion. Affiliation. Movement. Group. Body. Faction. Or clique. The thing is that when we throw around these words, cult, it's usually from a negative perspective, but not even understanding that, you could say the military is a cult,
Facts.
or a military. You understand what I'm saying? If it's a small army or a small battalion or whatever the case may be, you could call them a cult because they do believe in what they're fighting for.
Facts.
So we have to be very careful when we throw certain words around.
So being part of an Indian tribe could be a cult.
Somebody could say that.
Right.
Somebody.
So if you got a favorite football or basketball team, you're in a cult. Because they do pack them stadiums.
Right. And one thing I would add with that is that, this choice of vocabulary has is very subject to external influence, right? So where you got a lot of people who may have primed opinions, not necessarily based on their own level of scrutiny, and their own research about the term. A lot of times it's just a conglomerate of ideas, you know what I mean, that become repetitive in expression. And, this external influence to a comment like that, I see the perspective, right? But it's nothing new,
Right.
because anything could, quote unquote, be labeled as a cult.
Right.
And a lot of times it's just anyone that's deviating from the accepted norm of how to do a thing.
Right.
So initially, those followers of the one called Yeshua or Jesus, they will consider a cult or a sect.
Right.
Essenes are considered a sect. Sufism could be considered a sect. Right. So, yeah, I mean.
Which leads into cultivation, which means to agitate. So if I agitate you or I mix you up, or if anybody deals with gardening or farming, the cultivator scratches up the earth. It mixes, it breaks down so you can build up. So going with what he was saying when it came to anything that goes against the norm, the cultivator, it agitates.
Right.
It scratches what's normally done.
Right.
Which means people usually don't like it.
Right. It's like you got an itch.
Right. So what happens is cult gets attached to the ideologies when it really it's like you're just coming with a different perspective.
Right.
You're agitating me. You're irritating.
Right.
So you're a cult. Which I think, like I said, I think is really funny when, because like he was saying, when it comes to the vocabulary, if you have one focus on what that word is, you're going to get labeled or can label something as being a cult, not realizing that it is what it is. That's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Good point.
All right.
I can dig it.
All right. We got one more. The other one, a couple of them was like Hallelujah, Yahweh or whatever. We had a few of those. But this one here I want to touch on. Probably everybody may want to touch on. I'm not for sure. These people are comfortable with young black men killing each other, young women whoring themselves out, and all of our youth being a part of homosexuality. Black people are at the bottom and poverty in every city, and y'all are comfortable.
Okay, yeah. So, that brother said a lot. But again, there was no
context.
No context.
No,
none of that. No one. They never talked about black men killing each other on not neither one of those videos that we put up last week. Not one.
In fact, it wasn't even about men.
Hey, it was about them having experience being in the Hebrew Israelite lifestyle, and say nothing about.
I'll take the chance to say this. It's a lot of brothers that's going to be irritated by us.
I understand.
And a lot of brothers that's going to be irritated because we believe women are balanced to the men. And it's highly likely that a lot of brothers are saying, getting their women that's saying like, man, I feel the same way. And instead of addressing the points that the women made, they deviate and start projecting all of these things that has nothing to do with the conversation.
Again, Adon, these are primed responses, right? So, primarily in that particular identification, expression has a one-sided view, right? And what's gradually accepted is, the viewpoint from the brother, when in actuality, a lot of us get ideas from the Nashim.
From the women, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's, And you're right. Brothers are gonna be agitated.
I personally think his point was the concept of what was being talked about alerted to the fact that we were comfortable. You guys were comfortable. They were comfortable with our state of being in the black community, so to speak, which had nothing really to do with the conversation.
Right.
What was going on was that self-serving idea that if you're not talking like we talk when it comes to this paradigm of Hebrew Israelite
Right.
conscious community,
Right.
then you're comfortable with what our society is doing and how our society look without having the conversation. Just making, like you said, the blanket statement of listening, and then your conclusion is, oh, they comfortable with how things are out here in the black community. And I don't know where he get all of our children are involved in homosexuality. I don't know where he get that. I don't know where,
Well,
like Karim says, it shows where your focus is when you're speaking. I guess that's where the focus is on some groups.
I'll address that, right? Nothing that we say portrays that we're comfortable with anything. If we are comfortable with something, we're comfortable with the viewpoints that we have, right? Because we've come to the conclusions that we have based on the experience that are unique to our day-to-day
Right.
operation or routine,
Absolutely.
right? Personally, what I've moved away from is consistently seeing the negative in a person, because that wasn't bringing anything to my family except more negativity, right? And it just so happens that a lot of us function at a high degree, you know what I'm saying, in those parameters.
Negativity.
Yes. So, there's a lot of good on this earth. There's a lot of, and having been several places in the earth, right? There's a lot of good to see. There are still a lot of good people to meet. That not all of them are, profess to be Hebrew Israelites, Hebrews, or anything. They just good people to meet.
Right.
And anybody who's been anywhere, they know the importance of networking with good people. Right.
Right.
And I think we, for whatever reason, right, we've structured vision. When I say we, let me back up. There's a vision amongst that paradigm that only sees death and destruction and, things that just are not uplifting for the soul. Right. So, and again, like Sifu said, instead of addressing, perhaps what the subject matter is, there's something that clicks. When you deviate from the norm, you automatically, you into homosexuality, or you into, the wickedness, or you into the whatever you want to come up with.
Right.
Right. And there's really no basis to even go there. Right. So go ahead.
Because a lot of times you hear to get a reaction like that, you see something in that is really a reflection of something going on within you.
Right.
And instead of having to face that, you project outwards, and it's like a child lashing out. You just start throwing random topics
Stuff
into the air to deflect from the point that was at hand. And over the years, it's like you said, we've been doing this for a while, and it's just like, man, it's the same pattern of thinking that's being passed on from generation to generation to another brother that's not doing well. Okay, well, come over here and I'm going to teach you how to be a man. And it's the same consciousness. Look what's happening to us. It's getting this. It's really a type of conditioning and programming,
right.
to where it filters the lens of the individual to where they cannot experience, I don't want to say reality, because now it's become their reality.
Right.
Even though they haven't experienced it, they're taking it from somebody else as it's true.
Well, the adage is, is true. Misery loves company.
Right.
And hurt people hurt people.
They do. Okay.
Right.
I think they're just mad because the women spoke.
And that could be a thing
And
too.
that could be the thing too.
You know, and
That's
and and that's fine. You know, the women, you know, they will continue to speak here.
Facts.
right.
You know, so and you know, if that bothers you, right? There is an app or there is an organization for your thought process.
Right.
Right.
It is.
This
But what's interesting is nobody said it.
right.
Like he said, they said a whole lot of other stuff,
I know.
but nobody said. And we know
Right. We've been in the circles.
that they pretty much were upset. Like, how they get to talk?
Yeah, they get to talk.
Why
You know, and
they not ready because they talking?
I'll even say this: there are many more women who want to talk,
Yes.
Right.
and I guarantee you, it's one of them. Hey, how come they talking and see? I told you,
That's why they mad.
and it's like, and you know, I'm not bringing nobody down, man, but like, you know, we've been in the game since '08,
Right.
right? So you know, we've seen this pattern in the wilderness for a long time. Right? The same things are being said. The same conditioning is still present, right? And the same results keep getting put on the plate every time we eat.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it just is what it is. And you know, that's pretty much where we at.
Right. Right. Exactly. So, you know, like you said, Adon, you know, they have a right to speak. Long as we have this podcast, yeah, they gonna speak. Anytime they want to get on, they gonna get on. It's up to them, and we're gonna allow them to speak. It's really just that simple. You know, anybody that have a problem with it, it's always another podcast you can go listen to.
Right.
It's on the Sabbath day. I'm pretty sure there's other connections out there doing what they do. They're doing it. Fine, go listen to them. That's fine with me. I don't have a problem with it. You don't even have to really. But even if you go inside your camps or Knesset or group, I guarantee you will find 3 to 4 women in your group that wants to talk. Right. And they don't because most of us don't allow it.
Suppression of the feminine energy.
And I would say this. I'm not going to say it's not fair. You're absolutely right. But when they walk out and make their own podcast and talk about you, don't say nothing. Right. It's just that simple to me.
Right.
I can make it easy and clear.
Right.
All right.
Then they'd be out of place.
So
but, you know, it is what it is, bro.
Right.
It is what it is.
That's the beginning of wisdom. It is what it is.
Right.
yeah. All right.
Let's get to the real I would say meat and potatoes, but I'll just do potatoes.
Right.
If that.
Speak for yourself.
But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and dive straight into the topic. So each one of us is you know, we're gonna provide a perspective, and the perspective is gonna come from, you know, how we see things, how we got to the viewpoint that we did, and you know, you get a little bit more history about who the fourth principle is, and you know what we stand on.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. And we do have studio guests, so we will allow studio guests to ask questions.
Right.
As they may come up in your minds, or you know, the spirit may put something in your mind and your heart to ask, and we'll do our best to answer the question.
Okay.
For sure. All right.
Okay, so the first question is that.
Is that a woman talking?
Yes, this is Jira. The
Come
first
closer.
question
Come
is.
closer to the mic, Jer.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Do we need to get a chair over there? Another chair? Or are you good?
No, I'm okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The first question is, who is fourth principle?
Facts.
You want me to take this one?
You got it.
Go ahead.
So initially, I said I wasn't gonna write, but some of these questions, they could go so many different ways. So I try to keep it simple. I keep myself in some type of order. The fourth principle, right, as we've said when we started the podcast, it represents the number four or fourth principle of the seven Hermetic principles or laws of the universe. Some might call them the seven Hermetic principles, right? The first one is the principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. The second principle is a principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. This principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being and life. The third principle is the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The fourth principle, or the fourth law, is the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pairs of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extreme meets, all truths are but half truths.
Right.
All paradoxes may be reconciled. And we're talking about even our own perspective of the truth.
Facts.
If we're living physical beings, it's gonna be distorted to some extent. Everybody following me? The fifth principle is a principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The sixth principle is the principle of cause and effect. Everything has its cause and everything has its effects. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The seventh principle is the principle of gender. Gender is in everything.
What?
Everything has its masculine and its feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes.
Facts.
All right. So that's the seven universal principles or seven universal laws. There's also 12, but I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to name them. They're called the 12 universal laws. And one is the law of divine oneness. Beyond our senses, every thought, every action, every event in some way is connected to anything and everything else. 2, the law of vibration. At a microscopic level, everything is in consistent motion, vibrating at a specific frequency. The law of correspondence. And some of these are almost exactly the same as the Hermetic principles. This law states that patterns repeat throughout the universe. And on a personal level, our reality is a mirror of what's happening inside us at that moment. Think as above, so below, as within, so without. The law of attraction. And I know this is a popular concept. Mm-hmm. It states that like attracts like, and you get what you focus on.
Yeah, so you might read something in the scripture that says like everything begets of its own kind.
King.
Right.
Right.
Not only that, but you have to believe what you're seeking is possible to obtain. It is similar to the law of vibration in this way. It's important to learn how to vibrate at a level that attracts what you're seeking. So if you're seeking peace, become peace.
Right.
Law of inspired action, closely related to the law of attraction. The law of inspired action is all about taking those real actionable steps to invite what we want into our lives. And I'm just going to stop there. Keep it simple. Law of perpetual transmutation, perpetual transmutation of energy. Mm-hmm. This law states that on compare things in our world, but in reality, everything is neutral. Relativism exists in all things, and in the end, meaning comes down to our perspectives and perceptions. Oh. Law of polarity. The law states that everything in life has an opposite. Good and evil, love and fear, warm and cold. The key is understanding these are all two sides of the same coin. A way to work with this law is through the mantra, all contrasts bring more clarity. The law of rhythm. We expect ourselves to be one way all the time, whether we're thinking about our health or even productivity, but this is not sustainable. Cycles are a natural part of the universe. Everything is cyclical. And then finally, the law of gender. Masculine and feminine energy that exists in all things. Achieve your own balance between divine masculine and divine feminine energies in order to live more authentically. All of these laws are about mastering your life with love and joy. So the fourth principle is we just represent that, but we're going to get into more of what we're really about.
Right.
We focus on the fourth principle.
Right. It's like saying, what's short to tall? You know, Shaq is taller than me, but I'm taller than my little nephew. So all is truth. It's just how most people perceive it. Because yes, Shaq is tall,
Yao Ming taller?
but
He is.
he's shorter than Yao Ming.
Right.
He's shorter than trees. Some trees. Not all trees, but some trees. So there's truth in all things. Whether most people like it or they don't like it, or they believe it or they don't believe it. And we're gonna get in that word belief in a few. But we're gonna touch that real quick because I'm using that word because it's relative to everybody. Everybody basically use it. I don't really per se like to use it, but I understand most people. That's what they use. So, but we'll touch on it a little bit.
Anybody want to add to that? What is fourth principle to you?
No, I think you summed it up pretty good.
What is the fourth principle's goal from your perspective?
So one goal that I would say that we have is, we use the term like light bearer, right? So, wherever we go, whoever we encounter, the goal is just to share love with that person, enjoy the interaction with that person. Our goal is not to try to convince anybody of anything.
Right.
And as we are led, the things that we might be given to share with other people, that might awaken something in that person that's relevant for their next stage of growth.
Facts. Now I don't know if we want to touch on what our goal is. We do have a lot of goals. We're going out and helping the community. Go spread what we understand, what we're about, how we look at things, how we perceive certain things. Now, not saying that you have to agree with us. We're just sharing what we understand, and it's for those ones who want to or vibrate with us and have that same mind thought or mind thinking. And also, establishing truth. But like you say, all things are truth. So when I say all things are truth, you can have your truth with us. You can sit on this podcast with us and have your truth. We may perceive it different. We may even look at it different, but guess what? It comes back to the same thing, to the same thought. That's all it's going to do. So that's what we're trying to portray here as we go forth, in our journey, in this podcast and in the fourth principle podcast. And like I said, we're going to do a lot more things outside of the fourth principle. Like I say, dealing with the community and things like that. So,
I like to add one more item is, we also demonstrate that, there's relatively a lot of good within every person. We seek to motivate and extract and draw out those positive qualities that sometimes lay dormant in people. And a lot of times we do that through the unique conversations that we might have with different groups. And if it meshes, right? If it doesn't, maybe that's for an appointed time later. So
So pretty much what everybody else said. But I'm going back to that word light bearers. You hear that in a lot of the people call it new age community or whatever the case may be. But it's also a light holder. And what we're doing is we're going to go into terms like spiritual awakenings and things of that nature. But in the past several years, there are people, and I'm speaking directly to those people. I'm speaking to those beings, those souls. So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, and you don't get what I'm talking about, I'm probably not. It's probably not for you. I'm speaking to those people that are going through spiritual awakenings, and these people, they're in different walks of life, culture, religious ideologies, races, creeds, and they're being silent for the sake of fitting in or not to rock the boat, whatever that boat may be.
yeah.
And that could cause a lot of great internal suffering. So the fourth principle is here to show you that there's others out here like you that understand what you're going through. And, we're available for you to reach out to us, to help you, to share perspectives, to even learn from you, because we all have something to add to the table, because we all share a perspective of the one infinite, and we're just mirroring and sharing it with each other. Yeah, you're not alone.
Facts. Yeah, Jer.
What is your current spiritual belief system, and what led you to that?
I think all of us
That's the long one.
Yeah, that is the long one.
Go ahead, take that one, Mike.
I'll make it short. Today's popular saying is, "It is what it is." I don't really adhere to anything. I think more things adhere to me.
Okay.
At my heart, at my root, I'm an animist. We had this conversation the other day. I believe that all has life in some sort. All vibrates. So we come back to the principles that he was mentioning. Mm-hmm. But as for a in-the-box belief system, I came up in a Kemetic mystery system under Afosu Abiola Tamba. You can look her up. But again, I don't adhere to any system. The majority of my friends, while I was in that Kemetic mystery systems, were Israelites. So, and what was funny was people outside of that friendship had complaints or things to say, but my friends were still my friends. My peoples were still my peoples. I can see the Most High in everyone. Like Brother Malak said, there's a lot of good to focus on. If I sat around and focused on people's so-called negativity, we never would get anywhere.
Right.
But, to be short, because I know this is the long one, But my mother, of course, introduced me to what we would call spiritualism. But she also raised me as a martial artist. Mm-hmm. So dealing with martial arts, you're going to deal with different spiritual systems.
Right.
So being brought up in a Christian church, I was still exposed to Zen Buddhism, Taoism through the martial arts, which was actually kind of a conflict when it came to my mother, when it came to me learning the martial arts. Mm-hmm. But she allowed me to explore somewhat when I became a teenager, or actually, I would say adolescence, 12, 13. Right. I was told to search for myself. And in doing that, I was able to reach out into a lot of things, encyclopedias, books. I spent a lot of time at the library, so you know. But as for a personal spiritual system, it's what's around me,
Right.
you know.
Right. Got you. So
What was the question?
I'll go next.
No,
you go next.
You can ask it again.
yeah.
What is your current spiritual belief system and what led you to that?
Okay. Okay. I am that I am. And as I would say, from this point looking backwards, it's been my life's journey to this point. Everything that now the awareness that I'm in, I've seen that I've been led all the way to this point. And I wouldn't say I deviated from who I was, but I would say that at the point that I stayed in one particular space for over a decade, it was a choice, I guess, to see what it was like to go fully into a box and box in that infinite power that we all possess. You understand what I'm saying? So it's going into that system, learning that system, and not saying I know all things in the system, but a good friend told me, you come out of that system when it's time for you to return to who you truly are. You take all the good or all the things that work for you in that system, and then you pull yourself out.
Right.
And then you utilize that in your life, in your life's lessons. So, I mean, I see the connectivity in all the faiths that I've dealt with. It all seems to stem from one source, and the core tenets of the ones that I've experienced have the same teachings. So I only see oneness and unity, and anything that appears to be deviant from that, it's a choice to experience what we would say the negative or shadow or dark, but it's still a part of the experience to choose to go experience that, because that which is true is always there waiting for you to turn back to it. I really compressed that down.
Yeah, we know.
Oh, I know you did.
What's up, y'all? Shalom, right? So what basically led me to my current belief or the status of mind that I'm in has just been a life journey. I always felt like it didn't matter what religion I was a part of. I always felt like there was something else that was deeper. There was always some type of question that wasn't answered in that specific religion, or I just didn't accept that answer. It's a duality to this, right? So the universe or the creator put people in my life that helped me go down the path that I am at, a light path. And from there, I accept a lot of things that I rejected at one point in time. And with me accepting those different beliefs or knowledge or wisdoms have led me to the place that I am now, which is hear all and then do your research and then accept if it's applying to you. If not, keep it in the back of your head. Maybe it'll apply to you later on in life. But don't be so quick to shun things out just because you don't like it or just because you weren't taught it. So that's where I'm at.
All right. I would say mine's is kind of like Kazak's, because my answer would have been, I am that I am also. And I would say there was no particular thing that led me to where I'm at now. I think the whole lifestyle, everything I've been through led me to this point also. Um, Raised up, going to church with my grandmother. And my mother, which what I do give a great thing too, because she never made none of her children accept anything. Go to church. She didn't make us do any of them things, but she did allow my grandparents to come pick us up for church. That's when we was younger or whatever. But once I became a teenager, I was just out there. I was just moving how teenagers move. If y'all know anything about being a teenager, we just moved how I moved, and wasn't going to church or none of that, and wasn't even looking for no spiritual pathways or nothing like that. But I had always been interested in martial arts, like Sifu Mike over there. Always been into it because we grew up on Kung Fu theater. I mean, I grew up on Kung Fu theater. Right. I don't know if anybody else did.
My life.
And that was our thing. Right. We thinking we them Chinese people kicking when we get home. Oh, it's on.
Right.
And then I think my first wife, she was into church, so I would go with her sometimes, and sometimes we didn't go. I really wasn't looking for anything. And during those times, that's when I started taking martial arts classes or Kung Fu. And you get a lot of spiritual journeys within that system.
Right. Right.
And this is the kicker. My master, or Sifu, he was a Christian, but he held to certain martial art views or spiritual things. Cause it's time, man. We in there, we meditating, we doing like some Buddha stuff. You know what I'm saying? We doing these things. So after that, I end up getting I was divorced, and I ended up getting remarried, and the young lady that I was married, which I met last week, the one that's gonna be talking on this podcast. She was into church. She was really, doing church thing. And at that time I wasn't. So we end up start going to church and stuff. Actually, we would mime in church. I don't know if y'all know what miming is, but mime dancing in church. We did that for a while. And then, like I say, looking through the internet for music, ran across some Hebrew Israelites stuff up there, and I'm like, bro, that definitely doesn't go inside what I understand. So I run up, go get my Bible and stuff, and so happened they're talking right out of the strips. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I do my little research, and the next thing you know, I'm holding Sabbath classes. So where I'm at now, well, at that time, I started understanding that I was an Israelite. My forefathers wrote this book for us. And where I'm at now, I would say they wrote this book for us to get to a higher state of consciousness for the whole nation to be there. It was written for them. Nobody else, for them. Not saying that other people couldn't take hold of that ideology. It's just like what I look at is like when you look at a lot of Asian people who do martial arts stuff, that was just only for them. They wouldn't share it with the world. But you had some that would come out and say, and then you still had people gravitating to it, like you say, I did in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. Yo, Kung Fu theater was the joint. That's what made me get into their culture a little bit more. So all of this, even down to my mother, and I didn't even realize it until she passed away couple last year, that she was teaching me from the get-go not just to hold to one thought or to one understanding. And that's what I got from my mom when she was telling me. So that's where I'm at now. It's like, yo, don't hold to one thought. listen to what they're saying. They might be saying the same thing you saying. You just using different words. And that's where I'm at now.
Right on.
Okay.
So for me, I would start by saying, you know, kind of similar to my brothers, like I am. But what's unique to my perspective is that I'm a seeker. I've always been like that. I grew up, you know, more or less in the Baptist home. You know, like, you know, I'm from Houston or whatever, and that's kind of strong. But you know, I've spent the majority, if not all, of my adult life, you know, seeking and learning, you know, the truth of being within myself.
Right.
So you know, my faith system, if you will, has developed over the years.
Right.
I remember when I met Kazak, I think I was either 21 or 22. We were sitting in the back of a vehicle, and at the time it was like this thing that was called like Satanism and hip hop or something like that. This dude used to do this show, and you know, we wound up talking about it, and then you know, that kind of led to us, you know, discussing some things about, you know, the Hebrew paradigm. And then, you know, the very next Saturday, I see that I'm in a Shabbat service, right?
Right.
And I'm like, listen, man, like, you know, I'm not trying to do that all day. And he's like, I ain't telling you got to stay all day, but you know, at least just come check it out. And from there, you know, my faith system, if you will, you know, it's developed, is what I'll say. There's been some ebbs and some flows with that. Right. But, you know, I understand that now it's just, you know, that's the natural rhythm of reuniting, you know, to the truth of being within yourself. I can't really say that I lay hold to the box theory, right? Because that just doesn't fit the dynamic of how my life has been expressed. Right? I've lived a life that's been completely out of the box.
Right.
So, and you know, another thing that's really unique about me is that, you know, I see things, man. You know, there's no way for me to kind of, you know, hide that or run from that. You know, I'm just somebody that's, you know, very intimate with, you know, the concept of vision, if that's what we want to call it. And I've been like that since I was a little kid. I've had a very unique connection to music, you know, especially things that are strings, right? So like, you know, pianos and harps and organs and, you know, well, organs is not strings, but you know, things like that, right? Those particular instruments really speak to me in a different degree. And you know, I really enjoy those types of expressions, you know, that are now present in the earth. But where I am now is, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm still seeking, right? I understand that there is one law, there is one truth. From that we create, we unite, right? But there's also the opposite of that. You can miscreate, right? And you can detach yourself from things too. So, you know, that's just what it is for me. And I'm definitely in a place now where I don't see any value in focusing on what is negative about a person. I spent a lot of my adolescent years in that frame of thought, and that didn't work for me. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Man,
Son of God. Or son of Adonai.
Had to count them. I guess it's the syllables. I mean, I think that that sums it up. I mean, I probably wouldn't go outside of that statement as well.
I will. I am God.
Ooh, controversy.
Oh yeah,
He done did it now.
yeah, he done done it. Yeah.
I was just trying to take it easy on y'all, but you know.
I'm not. Ain't no need because those questions gonna come up, especially when I show it to you in your book.
For now. For now.
I am me.
I am.
The prettiest guy in the world too. Just want to let you know that right now.
They can't hear you.
Prettiest guy in the world.
My man.
You know it. Confidence.
Mike, what you got, brother? Just
It's too much.
okay.
It's a lot.
Ooh,
Trying to put it in a package.
Gotcha.
You know, to say it and I can't.
got you. I got what you saying. I hope they got what you saying. Yeah.
And I'm the prettiest one in the
Everybody, anybody else want to say something?
Nah, I think we good.
What values are most important to you and why?
Like rapid fire.
I would say to be elusive, to be moldable, malleable, to be to constantly empty the cup, so
Right.
the cup can constantly be refilled.
Right.
For me,
Right.
you know, to stay in a constant state of awareness, but learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Yeah. I would say for me, forever learning. Yeah. Same for me.
Well, my number one is love.
Okay.
And some of it, like I said, some of the things I might say, I'll have to elaborate later. But when my SST or spiritual support team contacted me, that was the first thing they said to me. You know, you need to love more. And my answer was like, well, I do love. You know, I love my mother. I love my kids.
Right.
I love my wife. I love my family. And that was a lesson.
Right.
None of it is mine.
Right.
You know, and it was tough. So to answer the question, the first value to me is learning how to love, and it's a state of consciousness and awareness, because I can't say when I was in love when I was 18, 19 that it was a wrong type of love. It was love as I understood it at that point in my life.
Right.
And how I understand love is probably going to be even more different another 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 2 months from now. But the journey has brought me to a path, or continued on the path of like understand like with love, the source, add name here if you need to.
Facts. I like
So yeah,
that. I
love.
Like that, mm-hmm.
Okay.
I wanted to say, I'm glad you said love, because since meeting you, the first thing that I got from you, and since really knowing you, was love more and fear less. And that's always like come back around since, like, in really getting to know you. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
All praises.
All praises to the one and only power of love.
I'm just a mirror of you. You got it from yourself.
Come on, dog. You talking now, brother.
Nah, man, he done took the words out of my mouth.
You can say them again. It's okay. You can say them again. I'm just you over here. It's me.
Anyway, the values that I hold close and dear is really knowing thyself.
Mm.
I think that is a fragment of love,
It is love.
but knowing yourself for real and not to compromise yourself and be put in positions where it could be catastrophic for you later. Oh, well, I gotta go. About to get my Jodeci on and whatever, but yeah, just like knowing yourself for real and not compromising your position and taking a stance on what you really have in your foundation. I think that is the biggest value I hold dear to me at this current point in my life. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So for me, I would say that the most at this point in time, the most important value that I hold is trusting myself. That has been the most relevant lesson that I've had in the more frequent years of my adult life. Because as far as what I'm put here to learn, I've seen that the experiences that I've had circle back to trusting myself, because the answers are always there, right? There's that small still voice that is communicating that, right? But then there's another part of me that's been socialized or structured, to ignore that. So, I really hold trust in myself, staying loyal to the truth of myself, right? Loving myself. These are, I kind of see them all as the same, right? Different words to kind of express different things, but I see them as the same. But that's where I'm at.
All praises.
What are your goals in life, and how do you plan to achieve them with the fourth principle?
Okay, yeah. So I'll go ahead and I'll tackle this one.
Oh, he got it written down.
So, dang, I mean, do we want to go professional? There's so many different ways to go with this, right?
Go where you go.
Yeah, I'll just go where I go. But ultimately, my goal is to be an example, and be the best example that I can be in any given scenario. With the profession that I do now, I've done it for just about 20 years now, and I'm wrapping that up. But I have goals to be more involved in the community, right? Be more involved in, if you want to say, public administration, public policy. Those are my staples in life, because as of right now, as far as where I'm at, that's where I do good, if you want to say good. And I can say when I'm vibrating, as we kind of say that, at a higher state of consciousness, right? I have the opportunity to love better, love further, right? And that becomes influential in the organizations that I allow myself to be a part of. So, I mean, and that's really a condensed version, right? But my primary goal is to be an example.
Okay. I guess I
Go ahead.
So one thing that Malak said, which is actually the second lesson that I'm still learning, and is to trust myself. That's one of my goals in life. I second guess myself sometimes. But again, my spiritual support team always says, trust yourself. And usually when I trust myself, it goes exactly the way it needs to go. But other than that, it's really get into that state of alignment to where I can do what I want to do, which means really and wholeheartedly go on the service to others path. And we could talk about the two paths later. The service to others path. Moving into a space where my talents could be used to uplift humanity. I mean, I have several talents, several skills. I know, this is where the trust is. I know that I'm good at what I do, but, and I know why it's blocked, but I'll use these terms for the people. Sometimes I get blocked in going out and doing what I know I need to do. Self-doubt, whatever you want to call it. So it's really going through the process of clearing, shadow work, trauma, this life's traumas, and other lifetimes' traumas that I have the now moment to heal.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing. And that's another conversation for another time for those who are like, what do you mean another lifetime? But it's healing these traumas so that I could be the best clear channel of the divine will on earth. And I'm just going to keep it like that. Keep it simple like that.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Facts. I would say at one point I didn't know, right? No matter what I did, I just did it. I just did what I did, which would come down to trusting yourself, right? Knowing what I know now about myself, physical, mentally, and spiritual, or who I am, I'm here to love people. I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve people. So those would be my goals from this, when I start understanding these things, to me going forth throughout. And if anybody know me from now back to when I was 20 or 15, they would tell you he gonna give his all in whatever he does.
Yeah, those are facts.
He's gonna go help.
Indeed.
He's gonna go help whoever he needs to go help.
Yeah.
And if a person that's say is connected to me and they don't understand that, they may have a problem with that, because I go out my way to do certain things for certain people. You know, if one of my friends' sister, cousin needed some brakes put on their car, I probably go around there and do it for them. You know, that's what type of person I am. Don't call me for brake shot. I'm just playing. Just trying to keep it minimum. just trying to keep it minimum. But that's what I would do, just to be, say what my goals is really to love people, serve people, and actually, that just serve people, man. Just love them.
Yeah. You already know. I think my goal or vision for Fourth Principle is to be the embodiment or embody the actual essence of it, something that is very innate. So when somebody comes into contact with me, it's just a different feeling. Somebody automatically questions, like, dang, what's going on? Like, they want to talk to you. They want to be around you, and I think that's the biggest value or goal that I want to achieve. And so far, it's been working. You know what I'm saying? You got the pretty face, smell good. You know what I'm saying? That gets them right there, and then you come with the Fourth Principle, and you got them. I'm just saying. You know it, y'all. You know it. Nah, I just like having fun, though. But yeah.
Okay, for me, I would say the goal would be to stay in a constant state of learning. To, again, like I said, to always be able to take it to the next level, no matter what it is. the focus behind that is family for me, to constantly keep taking family to the next level. Unfortunately, 2019, I lost my mother, and that was a realization of how important family is, and the bonds, everything, the bonds, the ups, the downs, how important it is to keep those connections. So to keep family connected, to grow with family, and to constantly keep knowing myself or learning myself as it changes, because self changes,
Right.
you know. So being aware of those changes and why those changes came about is really important, so you don't so-called lose yourself. You know, you stay in tune with your ebbs and tides, you know, your flow. And I would say for me, that's the focus. That's the goal, to be able to recognize those changes when they come.
Right.
What are some spiritual challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. I would start. I would say for me personally, it's by nature I can't adhere. Cause I calls it spiritually bilingual. I think that's the word he put on it.
Yes.
It's like for me, when you tell me what system you belong to, naturally I make the connections opposed to seeing the differences. And I can't help it. It's just, you know, I can see the Most High everywhere,
Right.
you know, and I don't have it has made me a lot of friends, but at the same time, it made for a lot of debates and rough conversations. But that started at 7. And it started with the most spiritually influential person in my life, which was my mother.
Right.
So by the time I got to the point where I was talking to my brothers or my peers about religious differences, so to speak, or differences in ideology, I had already had ingrained in me that I had no choice but accept the differences and see the commonality, because how often you gonna argue with mama?
Right.
She could cut the conversation.
Right.
And sometimes that would happen.
Right.
I would start getting, you know, and she'll say, stop. And it was, now she's making the mama move. She would cut the conversation off before it got too far in differences. But in my adult years, through a conversation, she told me that she raised me that way, which was kind of groundbreaking for me, because I always thought we were in opposition when it came to certain thought.
Right.
Not realizing that she was the one that created that type of seeker, as Malak said, in myself, because she allowed me to search for myself. As a matter of fact, that was her exact words. When she got to a point where she couldn't answer a question,
Right.
she would say, search for yourself. I was put out of Sunday school for asking who was the Most High talking to when he said, let us make man in our own image.
Right.
So when I asked my mom that question, I saw her ponder. Then she told me, you go find it.
Right.
So now I'm coming back with answers, and she might not like the answer,
Right.
but we would go back and forth. So by the time I get to my peers on the outside, I've learned how to say, okay, that's his way of looking at it, and then find my truth or my perspective in his perspective.
Right.
Because that's what had to happen with mama.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Got
I would say in a nutshell, it would be that.
Got you.
Definitely.
Okay. So, what are some spiritual challenges? So I spoke earlier about like we're gonna use the term going into the box. And again, I got to give credit to my sister Winnie Jackson. She said,
Shalom, sis.
we were born spiritual, and then we make a choice to move ourselves into some type of spiritual system or religion or whatever you want to name it, right? And for me, I've always been a seeker. You know, I did a 20-year military career, and you got to gonna see, at the time you see me with a Bible, a Quran, a Bhagavad Gita, a Tao Te Ching, all different types of scriptures, because I was seeking. I was constantly seeking, and then I settled, or I saw something that resonated with me on another level, and I put aside everything else, and I went in. But I can't say I really put aside everything else, because it was always there. I kept seeing the connectivity between everything. And as I'm put in a position to teach others, you know, they have questions, so you have to go look for answers. And in looking for answers, it started showing me that, wait a minute, everybody doesn't really even agree on this. And everybody is creating their personal perspective of how we are all standing. We may all have the same book, but each individual that's reading that book is getting a different understanding, even though they may be saying, yeah, preach, teach. But when they go home, the truth of their understanding plays out in the reality. And understanding that, and I use the word consciousness because all consciousness mean is awareness or awakeness, if you want to say that. You're conscious of something. Consciousness starts to expand. And as your consciousness is expanding, you're dealing with people that it's nothing wrong with them, and it's nothing wrong with you, but you don't understand what's happening to you. And in certain terms, it's called spiritual awakening. You could have one or you could have several over a lifetime. And when spiritual awakenings happen, your consciousness starts to expand. So I found myself in teaching. I'm trying to take all of these concepts and ideas that really cannot be contained and trying to contain them in one particular social construct or box. And I started to suffer. I didn't know I was suffering, but it started to be, I used to sit in my vehicle and meditate before I actually came and did service. And a lot of people didn't really know that. You know, people may think that I from the outside looking in, oh, he might be losing his mind. My daughter passed in 2018. It was things that actually, how do you say it? Synchronicity started happening, and it started playing out. And I didn't know. But when I started to step aside or step away from the assembly, it was kind of like my wilderness period. And now things started opening up. So I would say that the difficult part was to leave that, because I loved everybody that I taught that was in the assembly. It's like you're trying to deconstruct a program that you were actually put on yourself. And even to this day, sometimes I sit and like, am I doing the right thing? It's still questions. But then I have to look at, since that point, the people that I've met, the lightness of my heart, the non-judgmental perspective that I had when I deal with other people, the acceptance that I have for other people. And not to say I agree with everything people do. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It's allowing them to do, as long as they're harming no one, they're not physically harming anyone. And I can only do what I can do to change the situation. If I don't do anything, that's on me, not on them. So yeah, it's going through that spiritual awakening. And again, this is what I said in the Who is Fourth Principle. It's realizing that, wow, it was so many other people out there like going through the same thing I'm going through. And it actually, a lot of people, it happened to around the same exact time. It was right before COVID and during COVID. So yeah, that was the most difficult time, is letting go of my family. And I didn't really lose anything. I gained a whole lot more.
Right. Wow. For me, I think I think mine's is really in cycles. Even from a teenager years or grown up years. And what I did with those suppressing them, I really just suppressed it. When something came to me, I just suppressed it. I understood being Israelite back in the 80s, but I suppressed it. I didn't go search. I didn't go find that thing because I'm doing me, or what we would say I'm doing me. Then when it came back around, it really kind of made me like, it really just snapped something inside me like, yo, no, you pay attention this time. So I went that route. Even before that, I was meditating way before that because I was into martial arts. I was doing these things. But at a time, then you suppress it. I don't need that. But as my journey had begun, maybe about my journey begun before that. But 5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, one of my teachers, he started seeing something different. And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So me not getting with the brother, I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to see what he's talking about. I'm going to read that. So I went and read some things and looked into other cultures. And what I realized was, yo, it's saying the same thing my books say, that I'm reading every Shabbat day or every day. I say, that's what I got in my consciousness at that time. I'm like, man, this thing's saying the same thing. Hold up. So do everybody have the same thought process, just with different words?
Mm.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, and that's what I had to really like deal with. And I was like, but like you say, dang, am I doing it wrong? Mm-hmm. Am I doing it wrong? Then I'm thinking, okay. Then it started thinking, oh, am I an Israelite? Well, hold on. Maybe I'm indigenous maybe I'm an Indian. All these things came to play. But the thing was, I kept searching, and kept researching. And then once we had those sessions, in those sessions, then I really, really understood. Then it really clicked to me. Like, no, I get it now. We're all that. We've forgotten.
Got amnesia.
And I'm like, man, and it was mind blowing to me. I don't know about nobody else, but it was mind blowing to me. It was like, wow, I get it now. But the thing was, how I handled it, I just kept searching, kept going until I said, that's what it is. And now I understand my purpose here, what I need to do while I'm here. So.
We gonna skip me. Go ahead, Malak.
Oh, you opting out of this question?
You just need some more time.
Phrasing my thoughts.
Yeah, let him get it together.
All right.
You know, he's the youngster of the crew.
So this is I'll say this is a very unique question for me. But naturally I had to write a few things down, but
Read.
So initially what I had, what a challenge was for me was, finding meaning and purpose in what I was doing. When I was younger, I validated what I did through other people's reactions. And it wasn't until I got, till I actually started, thinking on my own, if that's what we want to say. And I'm like, because even when I did that, right, there would be things that came up. There would be discussions that were had. There would be decisions that were made, right, that did not align with the experience that I was having. And for me, that was very confusing. Because it's like, hey, bro, like, I hear what you're saying, man. But that's not what's happening over here, you know, in my experience. And, you know, kind of like what I said earlier, you know, vision has always been a part of who I am. So I would see things before.
Right.
And you know what? These brothers know me. Anytime I ever had a vision about anything, I wrote it all down. Very great detail about exactly what I saw. Right? But I didn't trust that because I didn't know what that, you know, I didn't know what that was. Right? I was validating my sense of meaning and purpose. Like, if you do this, then this will happen. And it's like, well, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? And because I usually always be like, man, you don't never say nothing. You don't never say nothing. You got to say something. I'm like, well, maybe next time. Right? So that was a really big thing. Another one was resolving, you know, inner conflict and, you know, emotional immaturity. I'm the type of person, you know, I do get passionate about the things that I love, right? And sometimes I would, you know, I would express that in a certain type of way, but you know, I soon learned that those were more blockages than they were anything for me. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, I've always wanted to, if you want to say, obtain the spiritual status quo, whatever that is, right? I wanted to do that, but you know, I just was caught up in the, I was held captive by the senses, by my senses, right? I gave more leverage to a limited type of thinking, right? Which was contrary to, like, again, the experience that I was seeing. So, you know, there's a phrase, right? You know, my soul knew what my mind couldn't comprehend.
Right.
And if you ever been in that type of, that space of awareness, right? It's like, you know. Everything is telling you that you know, right? But logically, you try to compute, or linearly, you try to rationalize these things in a way that makes sense. Right? But, you know, as I've learned, and even up until this point, right, the spiritual journey is many things, but it's not linear. It's not 1 + 1 is 3. But for somebody it might be. But for me, it's not linear for me. And I you know, I understand that now. You know, but back then I didn't. And those ideals, those times of expression, right? I really incurred some suffering, right? I always got, you know, for a period of time, I got what I didn't want. And it was just like, listen, man, this ain't gonna work right here, right? That doesn't work for your core energy blueprint, Malak. Okay. You're not structured to see things the way that people do. So don't try to force yourself in that lane. You know, that doesn't work for you. And you know, as I allowed myself to be detached from that anchor, right? I began to gain perception. You know, I began to integrate, you know, the box theory. That's not what I do. That's not who I am. That's not a part of my makeup, right? That doesn't work for this expression of time for me. So, and again, this is another compressed topic, but you know, those foundationally, right? Those are some of the lessons that I had to go through, some of the things that I really had to learn to get where I am now.
I think he's got it.
Well, We'll see. Just to feed off of what Malak said, I just want to say something to you, brother. I saw it, so I was it. Let that sizzle in your spirit, you know. Y'all ain't get that. Y'all ain't get that. Oh, you got it? All right, cool. You got it, brother? It was for you.
You saw it and you was it.
I saw it, so yeah. But that was for you,
Got it.
for your visions. I think the biggest thing I had was basically separating myself from my family. Of course, they brought me in a Christianity household. And as I had questions and I would go to my mom or my dad who held these specific titles, and me learning to mean that titles don't necessarily mean anything. And having really heated debates when I saw myself debating my parents on things that they brought me up on, and they couldn't give me an answer that I felt was befitting. That was the struggle. Now I'm looking at my family in a different light. So for me, I'm glad that I came into contact with these brothers, because it definitely was like a love journey. Can you love your family even though your ideals are split now? There has been a fracture in your family. This thing that was a covalent bond to you guys. Can you guys actually make it through? Covalent. And right.
Sorry.
It works.
Ionic. Like, but I mean, anyway, right.
I like that word.
So me, always on my turn. But
I like that word, man.
but for me, that was the biggest. I'm not gonna go into a whole speech, but that was the biggest. Family splitting.
Got it.
Can you describe your understanding of the divine or higher power in your spiritual belief system?
I'm going first on this one. Look, the way that I understand it is the way that my brothers put it to me. God is experiencing life through you. That's it. So with that understanding, I understand that I have the same power as God. I know I'm not the creator or whatever, but I understand that I have that same power that is inside of me. And I could walk through life creating my own life just as the creator created life for everything. That's it.
Good stuff.
To experience and to express the creator.
I'm trying to find where the question. See if I had an actual, because somebody leave for
No, but
I'll say
part two.
all is divine for me.
Facts.
For me, and sometimes that becomes difficult and it becomes a struggle because sometimes I have to focus to see divine. Losing my mother, that was a struggle to find the Most High's will in that situation, and then the position that I was put in when it happened. Because when I say it happened, when I say I got the information in an instant, I got it in an instant. I mean, in a conversation with another family member who was waiting for a break in my conversation to say mama passed. So I'm just talking, just going on with my day. So when I got that information, it was like, it was a shock.
Right.
But then there was a comfort that I understood that my mother would have wanted for me. And then I was able to see the divine plan You know, I didn't see it at the church. I didn't see it with the pastor. I didn't see it with any of that. It was out in nature. It was out. It was out here. I just put it that way. It wasn't in a religious system. It wasn't in a physical building, brick and mortar. It wasn't in any of that. It was out in nature where I had the comfort
Right.
that all is divine. And I based it on that right there. From that point there, everything, what we would call positivity, what we would call negativity, what we would flip and then say is the fourth principle, the polarities of both, all is divine.
Right. Can I add something else?
Sure.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Akkad, which is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Simple.
Okay. For me, I mean, everybody said it. I mean, all is one experience in self. All is one. And just first Hermetic principle, the first law of the universe is the all is mind and the universe is mental. It's just different states of consciousness and awareness that you are expanding towards remembering who and what you truly are and where you truly come from.
Right.
That's it.
Facts.
And I mean, really, the only thing that I would add to that is that, you know, when you understand this law, if you will, right, this expression of the Creator, there are no miracles. That's just what it is.
That's just what it is.
You know, what we term as, oh man, that's what's up. That's awesome. That's the truth.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
It where you're a person that gets that, it's like, I would use the analogy, you know, you go to the store and buy, I don't know, a blue Honda Civic,
Yeah.
right? You come out, you like, man, everybody got a Honda Civic, a blue Honda Civic. No, it's always been there. You just are more conscious of it.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
And again, man, that's, you know, that is the awakening to the obtainment of vision.
Okay.
Right. It's not fortune telling. It's the awakening to the obtainment of vision. So, you know, now you see. Now you know.
Right.
How do you practice your spirituality on a daily basis?
You know what? I'm gonna tackle this one first.
Go ahead, brother.
Because, I mean, I'll just put it simply like this. I practice it every day because I get a chance to look at myself through every other person I come in contact with.
Right. Facts.
And you know what? That lesson is going to be different on every encounter.
Right.
Right? So, you know, when I think I'm patient enough, guess what? There's more patience to work out. Right? Or if I think I'm loving enough, you know, there's more love to give. You know what I mean? Like, doing the work, if that's what we want to coin it as, doing the work. So, you know, to even put that in a box, you know, I don't know that I can, or if I would try to, but I practice it, you know, with each individual that I come in contact with, and each one of them express a quality that either requires refinement, right, or provides a confirmation, right, that I'm walking that out in a balanced manner.
I like it. Well spoken, brother. Yeah, that was good.
Toda. The water.
To water. To the water. To water. Facts. Man, I agree. I don't think I can say anything else less. Except for, you know, doing certain practices, you know, within, like, you know, meditation and prayer, prayer number one. Let me not say well, you can say both as the same, but I'm gonna say prayer as we know it, and meditation. And I think those out of the two keys that I may have like a practice on doing every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be truthful. Some days I don't even get to do that, and I just gotta trust myself, because sometimes it's not for you to do it every day, because you may not need it to be at that time. But when it's your time to do it, just go ahead and do it. You just gotta trust yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, everything everybody said is good. My spirituality practice on a daily basis is I am that I am. However, I pray, I meditate, I do affirmations. You could call them ritualistics, but everybody has a ritual. You get up, you brush your teeth, and as I end, I tell people, as often as you brush your teeth, you should meditate.
Right.
As often as you brush your teeth, you should look in the mirror and tell yourself, "I love you." We all got some work to do, so I'm always constantly working. Just like Malak says, through how my interaction goes with people, it's a feedback on where I'm at and what else. What else do I need to work on? What else do I need to do? Throughout the day, when I remember, I ask myself, how are you feeling right now? What are you thinking right now? And I check myself on my thoughts. I check what thoughts I allow to flow through my mind, if I want them to keep flowing or if I want to change the narrative that's going on.
What are you
Because
doing?
I am not my thoughts. They're just energies that just float around, and depending on what vibration you in, it could hook, line, and sinker you into something.
Right.
So I constantly try to check my thoughts. And I ask questions to continue my self-healing journey, because in order to do the work, it's not necessarily a prerequisite, but for me, it's a prerequisite for me. I'm making it my prerequisite to do spiritual healing and spiritual work, because it might be somebody else that might need something from me that I can say, well, this is what I did. Not to say it's going to work for you, but this is what I did. And that's simple.
Got it.
Okay. Everybody looking towards me, so that's how I'll go.
We're throwing the energy at you.
Right. Okay, I'll say. Okay, the meta nature, or the hieroglyphic for the letter B that we know of in the English language is a foot. If anybody have seen
Mike.
that, it's a foot. If anybody have seen that, and the interpretation of that meta nature means I exist. When you see the foot, it just means I'm here. So the way I interpret that, in the way that I was taught through the Kemetic systems, is to be. And in order to be means I have to humble myself. So I realized that I exist here with everything else. So my practice during the day is to realize that I'm no different than everything else that exists, that be. So how that takes a turn sometimes for the strange is I might wind up in a conversation with an animal. Now, I can't say that the animal understands me, but I can say I understand it. And I always come back with a lesson. Now, it can get weird if I try to tell somebody I can speak squirrel. No, I can't do that. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. Come on, though.
Right. But when I come out in the backyard in the morning and I see him working, and I think, like, I got work to do too. He's up early and he's getting his stuff done. There's a lesson that could be learned from that. So I might say something to him. So when you talk about something being ritualistic, to go into an actual situation that I watch right now is what? The spring. So we're usually thinking vacation. I just came back from California. You know, we're talking about Memorial Day and going. Right. I was watching this guy. He was working. he was moving his nuts and he burying them, and I'm like, dude, I keep finding pecans in my yard. I'm like, is you the one that keep bringing the pecans to to the yard? He kind of stopped, looked at me, but I'm thinking like on a lesson type of vibe, like he's not preparing for right now. He's thinking about what's gonna go down in like September. So in turn, that makes me think like maybe I should start thinking more about, I exist in this time, but to consider what's going to go down in September is not something that should be looked over. Those type of lessons and how I express myself spiritually comes through lessons like that. He was talking about the trees, There's lessons to be learned from the trees. Like I said earlier, at root, I'm an animist. So everything has a lesson to teach. You just have to be willing to humble yourself to try to hear the language. Now, in saying that, that's not saying I talk to animals and trees in that sense, but it's a communication. And you have to humble yourself to receive from that communication. Like you were saying, it's praying, it's meditation. The way I was taught, praying is talking to the Most High, meditation is listening. So it's a polarity. It's the fourth principle. I talk sometimes. Sometimes I got to be quiet and listen, or you miss your answer because you're talking the whole time. You're asking, I need this, I need to do this, and this is happening, and that is happening. It's like, well, when are you going to be quiet and listen? Right. So I can explain to you, what needs to go down. Right. And in doing that, you learn to, yourself, because it's a give and take. So for me, like I said, just humbling myself and realizing that I exist here with everything else, the positivity, the negativity, the goods, the bads, the lights, dark, all of it, I exist. Right. That's it in a nutshell.
And when he mentioned the trees, it was something we talked about off the show. But I know a few beautiful people that do talk to animals, that do talk to trees, right, and they talk back.
Right.
So it's not for you to believe. I'm just sharing, but they're out there.
I ain't gonna lie, I went to Colorado like 2 weeks ago and I hugged a tree.
Right.
Don't say it with a violated look. Say it like you really hug. I hugged a tree. You're like, I hugged a tree.
Hey, man. It took a lot for me to say that.
I understand.
No, that's all I had. No.
Is there a particular text or scripture that's central to your belief system?
They gonna say the whole.
You want me to take this for action?
Nah,
Or you?
I'm
I mean,
one.
oh, go ahead.
The book of Tehillim, chapter 82, okay, or the book of Psalms, chapter 82. Just read the whole Psalms. It's not that long, unless you want to read it for me though. Anybody want to read it?
No, I was just looking at Malak's text me.
Oh, okay.
Say that question again. I'm sorry.
Is there a particular text or scripture that's central to your belief system?
It's a lot of them, man. When the heart and the mind becomes one, when you say to the mountain, move, the mountain shall surely move. Okay. I mean, I could go on and on.
Okay.
That's him all day. That's one of his favorites.
All right.
Right?
No. Am I lying? Nope.
I would say it would, for me, it would be the Tanakh, Torah, Greek New Testament, however you want to break it down, because that's the foundation of understanding that I stand on. Now, that being said, does not necessarily mean that I'm going to say or see the things the same way the next man might say or see the things. When people, because in the past few weeks, people have come up to me and asked me, well, do you believe in this? And I have to ask them, what do you mean by believe? So it's going to be, that question is going to be really dependent on the person
who I'm dealing with.
who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I still stand on the Hebrew scriptures. However, I've seen universal truth that has been shown to me in all of the so-called holy texts that I've read.
Right.
Now, that being said, they're all seated in polarity, positive and negative energies that the reader, based on their level of consciousness and polarity, they're going to lean more towards whatever resonates with them and bring that out into their environment or into their lives. So to me, it don't matter what you read, how do you deal with me as a human being?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I go off of now.
Yeah. I don't think there's really much to follow up with that, because I mean we all have more or less shared the same type of literature. And the only thing that I would add about literature is that, it is subject to an external opinion. And I'm not saying that that's incorrect. Right? Foundationally, you know what I mean, the Hebrew scriptures, it has its place in my way of thinking. And specifically the language. That's really one thing that I really like to tackle, is the Hebrew. But again, what I get the most from is the interaction with the person, right? Because we take said text from any source, right? You compute that, and then whatever you're expressing, or whatever thought you have come to in your mind, your body is going to express that. And from that, I get whatever the lesson is to get from that person. You know what I mean? So to centralize a text, that might be a little cliche. I don't know, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, I'ma just say, choose ye this day who to serve. That's a polarity in itself. I always choose the positive energy. And yeah, that's my life is just full of abundance and blessings. I love my life, So I chose positive every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this might sound a little insensitive, but they're just books to me, and I have a lot of them.
Come on.
I mean, a really lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yes, I think I'm up to an official library at this point. But I say go outside. You want to adhere to something that's great of the Most High. Get out of your box. Get out of your brick and mortar. Go lay on your back in the backyard and look at the sky for a couple of hours. You see His omnipresence. You just get a smidgen of it. Then turn over and look down at the ground, and you'll see that it's another world just beneath the level of the grass in your backyard. While you're going about your day, others of the Most High's creation are going about theirs,
Right.
doing their thing,
Right.
serving in the way that they serve. And then you realize that in between those two polarities, again, you exist. And you're no different. That in itself, for me, is the text. It's like I have to, because we all have literature. Everybody has an idea, and they write books and papers and articles. But once you strip all of that away, you could just change your environment just a little bit, and you'll see a difference. I had a teacher or an elder that would say, just removing your clothes and walking past the tree line of a forest, your world changes. Water is not there for you. Food is not there for you. Fire is not there for you. The communication changes. Okay, there's beings that are now you have to deal with that you didn't have to deal with on the other side of the tree line, just crossing it. And all of that that's going on behind that tree line goes on while we go about our day, paying our bills. And it's like what we were talking about earlier when you say you can't see it. You just have to open yourself up to being able to see it.
Right.
To me, that's the text, because you learn from those situations and learn that you're little, you're small. You just have to change your environment just a little bit. It's the reason why the majority of the enlightened have to take that trip, that voyage before the enlightenment. When it came to Moshe, it was going up into the mountain.
Right.
Christ in Gethsemane, or out in the wilderness, in the desert, before he received revelation. It's the changing of the environment that gets you closer to the Most High, when you change your environment with extremes. So for me, that's been the text. Just humbling myself to nature.
Okay.
Or netter.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody clear?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's good. I'm good.
I think that might be the last question for the evening.
Yeah, because we pushing up on what, 2 hours now?
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's all good.
That's good. Oh, we're not even gonna be here next week. No, it's the week after. Or
It is next
It's
weekend.
next weekend.
Yeah.
So
555.
yeah, it's all good. 555.
It's 555.
Many questions from the audience, just quick ones, or what have you.
Karma.
Karma. Got any questions?
Any thoughts?
No. You good, brother? All right, cool.
Jerry, anything arose?
I want to ask this one last question that's in here.
You said you want to ask one more question?
Yeah, I think it works for the last question.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
You have 4 minutes.
What, if anything, should people take from the content you share weekly?
That could have been the last question of the I got you. Okay. Excuse me? Well, you go ahead then. You can start off the briefness.
There we go. Brevity. Be open. Be open. That's all.
Be ready to receive.
Right.
Be ready to receive. Be ready to teach.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What, if anything, should people take from the content that you share weekly?
Oh, don't believe anything that we say.
Facts.
We're not here to convince you of anything. We're just sharing. Because you have your own individual walk.
Right.
You have your own individual experiences and lessons. Take heed to that. We're just sharing. We're just sharing.
Right. Got anything at all?
Yeah, just take what works for you.
Okay. Mike?
Continue to learn. Keep your cup empty.
Okay.
On one accord.
Hallelujah.
And all praises to the Most High,
The one infinite.
the one infinite power of love. Much love, fam.
Hey, once again, want to thank everybody who tuned in to the Fourth Principle today. Thank you for joining us. This was an extended show,
Yes.
but we wanted to provide everybody the opportunity to get to know who we are. Again, if you like what we do, if it's a blessing to you,